Hey, welcome to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast, the place where you get the straightforward, no nonsense, no holds barred ideas on leadership and growth, both personally and professionally. The Bald Truth Leadership Podcast is brought to you by the Peak Performance Group. I'm your host, Coach Rick Colster, certified executive business coach and the chief coaching officer of the Peak Performance Group, where we help people and organizations align and maximize their potential. Today, ladies and gentlemen, our guest he plays many roles in his life. He's a business owner, a dynamic speaker, an author, a former Olympian, and even played in the NFL. His biggest role, though, is that of a husband, father, and a strong man of faith. And one of the things that I love about this guy, he's working on a project that's going to help people get their messages out as professional speakers. Welcome, Olympian and door crasher, Johnny Quinn.
Hey,
welcome
Rick,
to the Bald Truth, Johnny.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be with you.
Oh, man, it's fun stuff. I tell you what, door crasher, I'm starting there. I'm going right for the gut right now. Door crasher. Tell us about that. So share with our listeners and our viewers why you're a door crasher.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting? When I was in the Olympics 2014, I got stuck in my bathroom. I could not get out of my bathroom in the Olympic Village. I had to break it down, and you saw the video, Rick, and I broke this door down in the Olympics, took a picture, put it on social media, and oh my goodness, things went crazy. And in 24 hours, I received 28,000 retweets, seen by 10 million people across the world. Just crazy. Who knew a door in Russia would create so much excitement? I should have kept some of the door. I didn't know. But it's been an awesome journey. I know we're going to dive into that. But you're right. When the Olympics come around, I kind of get this push every 2 years on, hey, who's the guy that broke down the door in the Olympics? Oh, yeah, he's a Texas bobsledder.
Yeah. Now, there's another oxymoron, right?
Right.
Texas
Yeah.
bobsledder.
Yeah.
You know, how cool is that? So what possessed you to want to, I mean, I get the athleticism of it, and it's you're going to be a badass to run, to be a push. And by the way, his book, Push, rock star book, fun stories, a lot of fun. You got to read it, folks. The book is called Push. And so what possessed you? What possessed you to try out for the Olympics as a bobsledder?
Yeah. You know, it was interesting. It was really my only opportunity left, Rick. Prior to the Olympics, I played professional football, like you mentioned in the intro. And when I got to the NFL in 2007, it was a tough journey. I got cut from the Bills in 2007, cut from the Green Bay Packers in 2008. I go to Canada. I'm with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, finally make a team, blow my knee out in Canada. And so all of that, Rick, actually, believe it or not, led to bobsledding. And here's what's so crazy. My agent at the time represented a bobsledder from back in the day. My mom, one of her coworkers was a bobsledder at the previous Olympics. And the funny thing about bobsled, since there's no NCAA level bobsledding, right? There's no college bobsledding teams.
Sure.
They look for former football guys with a track background. I ran track in college as well.
Makes sense.
And so when my pro football career was over, I still wanted to compete. And through, a chain of events of introductions, I got introduced to a driver. And I remember he calls me, he goes, Johnny, do you want to come out here in a couple months and push a bobsled around? And Rick, I told the guy, I said, look, I'll come out, but if my agent finds a football team, I'm going football, right? I'm out of here.
Out.
True story. 1 month before I'm supposed to go get my cool runnings on, I get a phone call from this driver. He goes, Johnny, one of my guys has showed up overweight. Do you want to come up now and compete in the U.S. 4-man team trials? And so I'm thinking, well, when exactly is the race? He goes, it's in 2 days. I said, 2 days? You got to be kidding me. I live in Texas. We don't have any snow. I've never pushed a bobsled. And he goes, Johnny, all you have to do is get inside the sled. And that was it, Rick. I flew in the night before team trials. My first time ever on ice was at the U.S. 4-man team trials, and we took third place. It was
How great is
Unbelievable.
that? See, and you know what? So you are obviously in shape,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you played in the NFL. I played a little bit of college football, but it was like
Nice.
100 years ago that we still had leather helmets and no face masks. I'm kind of old. And but you obviously were staying in shape, so that takes a lot when you're not playing ball. We know that. We know how many former players do we know that off season they're like would
Yeah,
blow up, or
yeah.
they end their careers and all of a sudden, and you look like you're in great shape right now as well. But that's got to take a strong work ethic, and that's what I recognize is it takes a strong work ethic to do that. Where does that for you? Where did that come from? How did you get that foundation, and what can
Yeah.
someone do? Take from your knowledge, your experience, so to help them with their work ethic. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting question. You're right. When I kept getting cut, I had to be what agents call 40-yard dash ready, meaning I could get a call at any time to go run a 40-yard dash for an NFL franchise. So I had to stay ready. So how do you do that, right? How do you stay in peak performance when you don't even have a contract, right? And so you
I
have to
like
have
peak
what I
performance now.
right.
My company's the Peak Performance Group.
That's
I
right.
love
That's
that.
right. So what I had to realize is that I had to start with the end in mind. And the end in mind was
I love
I'm
that.
going to make an NFL roster. So although my current circumstances aren't where I want to be right now, the fact that I've mapped out the end in mind first, where I want to go,
Mm-hmm.
it gave me the momentum, the confidence, the hope, the encouragement to stay right and peak performance. And so I think, to answer your question, the second part of that, Rick, it started early on growing up. I watched a lot of film of Jerry
Okay.
Rice. Right?
Okay.
Arguably, he's
Sure.
for sure the greatest receiver of all time. You can make an
Absolutely the
argument the
best.
greatest football player, but hands down the greatest receiver. And I remember just growing up and watching these videos of Jerry Rice, and I was so young, it was hard for me to compute this, Rick. Here's where I had a very
Okay.
tough time as a kid, because I saw Jerry Rice. He was an NFL player, and he would work out with other NFL players, right? So say they're in a group of 5. And he would always win every drill. And here's what it did for me mentally. Because early on, I thought, well, if you're an NFL player and you're in this elite group, everybody's good. Everybody's been working out. Everybody's in shape. Here's what I learned is that as you continue to elevate your game, it requires more effort out of you. And so although Jerry Rice is working out with 5 other NFL guys, he was running laps around them. And so they gave me the hope growing up to see that type of work ethic, to understand that when I became a starter on high school varsity, that was great, but it wasn't the end goal. Right? When I got a football scholarship and I go to college and I become a starter on the college football team and the number 1 receiver, that's great, but that's not the end goal. When I got to the NFL, see what I'm doing here? When I got to the NFL with great players, that's great, but that's not the end goal. And so when you start with the end in mind, and I'd share that for all our listeners, whatever you want to do, wherever your passion is, let's start with the end in mind, and that's what gives you the hope to keep working hard when things aren't going the way you anticipate.
Okay, so that brings up something in mind to me. You're not in the NFL anymore.
Right.
You're not pushing bobsleds.
Yeah.
And I'm still amazed that in 2014, we had stuff going viral. We're talking, that's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And who would have thunk it? Who would have thought that here we are, that at that point, it went so viral. But, you've got a new end in mind. Do you keep moving? What is it? Do you keep moving the goalposts or whatever you want to call them? We know, I know, we both know enough former athletes in our lives. I know a bunch, just from around town and meeting folks, and I've had a couple on the podcast. And how do you keep moving that goalpost and make it relevant?
Yeah.
And for me, or any of our listeners that are out there, business people that are out there listening, leaders that are wanting to be better leaders, how do you really decide I don't get it. How do you decide where to move that goalpost to? I mean, you're obviously a businessman now.
Yeah.
And so what's the next thing?
Yeah.
What's the end in mind? With the end in mind, what is the end?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's so relevant for all of our listeners is, okay, when do to use your analogy, when do you move the goalpost, or how do you know when, or is that even okay? And I would, let's start with this. Let's unpack it this way. If if you're not constantly adapting, evolving, and moving, you're going to get left behind. So let's give yourself permission that, yes, you do need to be moving your goalposts depending on what season of life you're in. So to take my career, at first the end in mind was the NFL. Then it pivoted to the Olympics. I want to become a U.S. Olympian. And then when I retired from sport, it pivoted to I want to be an entrepreneur and own my own business. And so now I'm a full-time keynote speaker and I own a property and casualty business. Now check this, Rick. I am now married and I have a 20-month little girl, Amelia. She is so sweet.
Goodness
so watch
gracious.
this. So my end in mind for my family, let's just take 20 years down the road. I want, when I come home 20 years from now, when that garage door goes up, my wife, her name's Amanda, is she going to say, oh, Johnny's home, or I am so glad Johnny's home? Right? My daughter, who's 20 months, she'll be 20 in 20 years, which is just crazy to kind of think about that, or 21. I want a wonderful, healthy relationship with my children 20 years from now. So see what I'm doing? I'm setting up what's the end goal in mind in different areas of my life, and I move them as things evolve and adapt.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because there's some parallels here. Kind of. I have an 18-month-old grandson.
Nice, yeah.
And a 2-month-old granddaughter. So,
yes,
we're here, except I'm now grandpa.
Yeah.
Now I look at it and I'm saying, what do I want Hudson, my grandson, what do I want Huddy to say about Papa?
Yeah.
That's
good.
When he's 20 years old, what kind of wisdom can I impart on him? So my goalposts, and while they're down the road a little further than yours, they're still moving out there. And I think about that constantly because mentors I know are absolutely critical. I didn't really have a lot of mentors. I had a couple once I got out of college. I started finding some business mentors. I had some great guys that followed me there. But what are we doing now? And I love what your point was. What do I want my daughter to say in 20 years? Does she have it? I got a text from my daughter last night. She says, Daddy, I just put the little one down, my 2-month-old granddaughter. She says, I was thinking about you. I love you.
Wow.
27 years old.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what. And see, look, here's the deal, Rick. I'm a type A extrovert, right? Athletically, I've been very fortunate, right? I've competed at the highest level athletically, and so. And I came across this quote from a guy out of Oregon. His name's Dale Partridge, and it goes like this. It kind of just blew me out of the waters when I read it. And so it's something I see and I quote all the time. I'm going to share it right now. But it goes like this: success at work without success at home isn't really success at all. And so for all of us workaholics out there who want to keep pressing the ball down the court, so to speak, which I love that, right? That you're speaking my DNA. We'll take a page out of Stephen Covey's playbook here, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Let's pause between the stimulus and the response in this grind and hustle, and we're going to, 24/7, 365, and let's just recalibrate our priorities and say, okay, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to grind and get after it and hustle. We're going to use all those fun words, but I'm going to value my family. I'm going to value things that are actually more important than work. I'm not discarding work, but I'm going to place these important big rocks first so then I can place the other rocks in there. And if we take that perspective. That's an amazing,
great point. It's absolutely the perspective. But I love that point that you got because it's what's really important in life. Yeah, you can work, you make money and do that. And I coach all kinds of executives in my business. I'm working with executives looking for that life balance. They're trying to find that life balance for themselves. Yeah. And these guys are, very, very successful 7-figure earners sometimes. Yeah. But they've forgotten their wife. They've forgotten. And how many divorces do you see? You see all that. I think it's critical to place that forward. Something else to notice, and I always watch stuff, because I'm a psychologist, a practicing, non-practicing psychologist. I watch psychology of people, right? Yeah. And I love how we use all these metaphors. Push the ball down the court. Right. Knock it out of the park. All these sports metaphors.
Especially sports guys. I know. It's the first thing guys, if you're right. If you have a sports background, it's like the first metaphor category you go to, sports. Yeah.
I just love it. Great. And we do it it's intuitive. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it sounds like, and you're talking about the NFL. Now you've had some success in the Olympics, which God bless. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, it sounded like you got knocked down a couple of times. You got punched in nose, or use a boxing metaphor.
Yeah, there you go.
Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the nose.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you got knocked down a couple of times, both
Yeah.
figuratively and literally, I'll bet, in the NFL, because I'm big, but I don't want to get hit by none of those guys.
Yeah.
What do you do when you get knocked down? What kind of mindset do you have to get, and how do you get there? I guess the important part is the how do you get there? I know tell us what it is, but then how do you get there?
Yeah. So what was so interesting, when I got to the NFL at 22 years old, I had a lot of success leading up to that. Great success in high school, a lot of success in college. So I get to the NFL and I'm thinking, okay, I know it's going to take to work hard. We're just going to keep this success train moving, right? And by age 26, after being cut 3 times, losing $2.6 million in NFL contracts and blowing out my knee, Rick, this was the first time that football, got really tough for me, right? Leading up to this, it was, hey, Johnny, you're a great receiver. You're going to move on to the next level. Yeah, I've had the stats and the statistics. And so here I am facing what I'm going to call just this massive adversity that I've never, faced at this level before. And so you're right. What type of mindset do you develop, or how do you handle that and weather the storm? And so let me share this with your listeners. What we have to do when you are at a loss like that, figuratively, literally, is you have to protect your mindset. You have to protect what you're watching, what you're reading, who you're listening to. And you have to, at the same time, you have to borrow wisdom from men and women who are 2, 3, 4 steps further down the path than where you are right now. Because here's the thing. When I got cut, the first time I got cut from the Buffalo Bills. It's the first time somebody said no to me in football. Oh my gosh, I thought the world was falling in. What's going to happen to me? When I truthfully, I picked up a book and I read an autobiography of somebody who has overcome failure 13 times in his life before he became president of the United States, which was Abraham Lincoln. It gave me hope. Here's what it did, Rick. It made me think, okay, wait a second. As much as this right now stinks and I hate it, if I let it fuel me to springboard me forward, then I'm actually on the right path. And so I've taken an ill situation and allowed it to springboard me forward by reading and learning from other people who've done it before me. And so that's key.
Guys, I love that. And so think about this. We're all sitting here and we're recording this in the middle of the COVID. I've been in quarantine, kind of, now I haven't been out much since almost 2 months now. And who knows how long this is going to go. We're all social distancing. We're staying in, sheltering in place, all this stuff. And somebody told me the other day, I was having a conversation, says, this is the beginning of the brilliant meme creation time in our, because everyone's got, they're coming with these crazy memes, right?
There's some good ones, aren't there? Yeah.
There's some great ones. I saw one the other day. It says, all my friends are saying, I read 2 books. I started my autobiography. I did this, all these really cool things. I finished, redecorating the house, and they had a picture of a whole bunch of empty liquor bottles underneath. That was me. But I think that's a fear. It's funny, but I think there's a fear in there that when we get our butts kicked, we get knocked down. Yeah. What do you do? How do you respond to that is critical. And I can go, trust me, I got a liquor cabinet full of liquor. Yeah. And I don't know if you drink or not, but I'll occasionally have a glass of wine or 2. Yeah. Yeah. But we could fall into that. Very tough. Again, conversation with someone this morning, and she was telling me her patients, a doctor, says, I'm finding a lot of people are turning to the things they shouldn't be.
Right.
Alcohol,
vices.
drugs,
there's no doubt.
Vices.
Through any, pornography, through any crisis. That's what's so interesting. And we need to address this as a reality. When a crisis hits, and you're right now we're in the middle of a COVID crisis. It looks like we're coming to the end, but we'll see. is these vices go up. And whether, again, it's alcohol, drugs, pornography, you name it, they go up. And let's not just push this under the rug. Let's realize that, understand that. Let's have some empathy here. And Rick, I couldn't think of a better time right now that you need to be intentional about protecting your mindset and borrowing wisdom from truthful, encouraging, hopeful people. Right? I mean, geez.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm going to tell you, your book, and it's right here.
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
your book is one of those encouraging things to do.
Thank
you. If you're looking for it, it's on Amazon. I'm sure it's on Amazon someplace. And, check Johnny out. Check right below the screen. You'll see how to get a hold of him. I'll put his website. It'll be right there. And but who are you going to look to, folks, when you're looking for it? What books can you read? And, there's a study or a survey or probably a meme for all I know, right? That most people don't read a book after they leave high school. They never read another book after they leave either high school or college. You're done. I mean, being voracious, and I'm a voracious reader.
Yeah.
And sometimes it has to be listening. We've got all new modalities now. We've got Kindles, we've got audio books, we've got all these ways. I mean, I used to travel 180, 90 days a year, running sales teams. And I always was on an airplane, one place or the other.
Yeah.
So I always had paperback books. And trust me, I had 9 big boxes of paperback books over the years. And I tried to sell the half price books. And I said, I got all these books, carried all these cases of books, right? Thousands of dollars in books. I said, how much can I have for these? And you know what they told me?
$20. No.
No, it was better than that. $9.16. I'm like, well,
oh my God. Yeah.
I said, no. Is that all you're going to give me?
Yeah.
And they went, sorry, that's all it is. They said, you can take them, lug them back to your car if you want, or we can give you $9.16. I said, can I put it to our purchase of another book?
Another book. There you go. I love it.
So I got one book. I got a $10 book, and I had to pay to go to half price books.
Yeah.
But, folks, for us, we've got to find those ways. And look, there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
It's video, because we're going to be on video. We're on audio.
Yep.
What do you find it out there, folks? And this is just my thought is, and I think Johnny's right. You're right on the money with me. Is find something that's going to lift you up. If it's a positive motivational book, if it's good music, because it truly is GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, or good in, good out. Go read the Bible, do a Bible study if you have to. I mean, I'm not averse to talking about my faith, and I know you aren't either, because that's kind of how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah.
And start a Bible study. Heck, they got the Bible app. Go get 2 guys you know.
Yep.
Just talk about what's going on. Something to keep your head straight. I think that's what's important. So I know that we talked earlier, and you're working on a new project.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about this. You've got a new project that's helping people get their messages out.
That's right.
Working on becoming better speakers, professional speakers if they want to.
Yeah.
And so what kind of advice could you give someone who has a message but not quite sure how to get this message out or how to share it? Because that's the number one fear, right? Number one fear in the world, public speaking.
Yeah. Number 2, death.
Number 2 is death. And number three is spiders and snakes or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know what that's some
animal,
means, right?
creature. What's that?
When you're at a funeral, most people would rather be in the box than giving the eulogy.
That's a good one. That's true.
Think about it.
You're right.
What advice could you give somebody?
Yeah. Here's what I found, Rick. I found that most people that want to get into speaking, there's a myth that's been floating around that you have to have some title, some position in management, or you have to have, some major accomplishment. And what the reality is, Rick, and you know this, is that the men and women who are successful in speaking publicly, they have a plan. They follow a plan. And that's where I see a lot of these up-and-coming speakers who want to break in. They just don't have a plan. And so what you're essentially doing is you're throwing things out at the wall, seeing what sticks. Where if you had a plan to follow a proven process of someone who has been speaking full-time and can follow a plan, follow directions, essentially take coaching, right? You're a coach.
Coaching.
If you can take and understand that, then you can fast track your way. So you're right. I launched an online course called Paid to Speak, how to build and sustain a profitable speaking business. And Rick, here's what I did. I literally ripped off the hood and put everything that I do as a full-time speaker in this course. And so it's 33 videos. It comes with a 100-page digital workbook that corresponds with each videos. And I even put together 5 custom email templates showing, speakers, well, here's the type of an introductory email template you would send, or here is how you ask for money, or here's how you ask for a referral. And I even put a speaker proposal in there. So I literally take somebody from 0 to 100 in this online course if they want to get involved in speaking. So they can go check that out at thetopspeaker.com.
That's awesome. Thetopspeaker.com. And again, it's like, that's the nuts and bolts of speaking. And both of us, we're both professional speakers. We get out there all the time. But knowing that, I mean, it sounds like not only did you rip back the cover and put it all in, it sounds like you opened up Oz's curtain at the same time. Here's the secrets of it. And it's not a secret.
No, it's not. To date, and this is what's out there for up-and-coming speakers, and there's nothing wrong with this. And I was talking to some bureaus about this. When someone comes to a bureau and they say, hey, I want to get into speaking, how do I get to it? Here's where they point them. Go join a Toastmasters or something. Nothing wrong. That's just where they point them.
No.
Go get a book on Amazon. Go barter with somebody. You go speak for free. They film you. Go watch good speakers on YouTube. Cool. My thought is, okay, let's give a little bit more foundation and let's show you how to create your own digital assets, your sizzle reel, your longer speaker reel, a speaker one page. Let's show you how to properly reach out to event planners who are actually doing the bookings. Let's show you how to set your pricing. Let's show you back of the room sales. Let's show you how to travel on the road properly as a speaker. And so that's essentially what I did, is just show everything that you do to help somebody that wants to speak.
So, now I'm going to push back on you just a little bit here because, that's just who I am.
Yeah.
This is the bald truth. You're an Olympian, dude. You broke down a door in Sochi. Is it Sochi, Russia?
Sochi. Yep.
Sochi, Russia, right?
Sochi.
You've got 10 million views on your picture with your head sticking through a door on Twitter.
Correct.
That's a pretty good. Played in the NFL, lost $2.6 million, all the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good entry for a speaker. Say, hey, I've got some chops here. I've got some life experiences. What about the guy that just is a business guy? I started a business, I had fun, and that's it. I don't have a book. I don't have a magical story. I didn't crash in Peru and have to eat 3 people and I made
and walk 500
kilometers.
Survivor. Yeah.
Walked, what about the folks like that we would think, and you're absolutely right, everybody has a message.
Right.
How do they break in? How do they get past that to be able to become a profitable speaker if they want to make money doing this?
Absolutely. Rick, that is who this course is designed for people who want to get into speaking, and whether you have a backstory or not, it doesn't matter. Here's what we have to understand is that there is, and let's just take a small business owner for an example. This would be a wonderful new revenue stream for them, that they can generate leads for their small business and become better public speakers without having a backstory. Because here's the thing, the low-hanging fruit in speaking is somewhere between 500 and 1,500. Speaker bureaus aren't going to play in that range, right? You're not going to compete against the top speakers who have the backstories, who've been speaking for 10 plus years, who have the credibility. But there's so much low-hanging fruit. And when we're taking somebody who has never cashed a check for speaking yet, and can start churning $750,000, $1,500 checks for a 20-minute keynote to not only generate leads for their small business, that's another revenue stream, and that's who the top speaker is built for. You're right, it's not built for the speaker who is already going out 40, 50 times and commanding over 6 figures a year. That's not who it's for. It's for the men and women who want to get involved and can open up a new revenue stream. So I'm so glad you touched on that.
Oh, good. And that's I'm glad I did too, because there's a niche for everyone. I think everyone has a place in this world.
Yeah.
and there's a niche for everyone as it is. So, hey, I want to get something because I want to be conscious of our time and respectful of your time because I know you're busy speaking, business owner. You got all the, and I can reread your whole intro if you'd like.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I would. But so I got some questions, and I want to know some things, and I'm sure everyone wants to know, who's Johnny?
Yeah.
We heard about your top speaker. We heard about all the NFL. We've heard about the bobsledding, and I don't want to discount any of that because that's huge. But I want to know who you are here inside you. So I've got a couple of, let's just say, surprise questions for you.
Yeah.
So here's what it is. So you're holding a dinner party, and these are called the bald truth questions.
Okay.
Because they uncover a lot, brother. You're holding a dinner party for 6 people, you being one.
Okay.
You can invite 5 people, anyone you want, 5 people, all of history, all of time, alive or dead. Up to the only caveat is they have to at least have been born up to this moment. Nobody from the future. So you can't ask your granddaughter to be there because
yeah.
You don't know yet.
Yeah.
So anyone from all the history of time, what 5 people would you invite, and why would you invite them?
Yeah. So that's a full platter to choose from the beginning of time to now. So to make it easier here, let me give you 5 people from present day, meaning they're living today.
Okay.
Right? Who I would want at this round table. So I'd want Elon Musk. I'd want Jeff Bezos. I'd want Mark Zuckerberg. I'd want Barack Obama, and I'd want Donald Trump.
Boy.
Those are the 5 people I want at the table. And you know what I'd do, Rick? I'd sit back and I'd watch. And I'd listen.
Yeah, I'll bet you would.
And I'd observe, right? And look, here's the reality. Those are the movers and shakers in present day, right? And who are alive and moving.
Without a doubt.
And so to have that type of collaboration, one, could everybody get along together? We'll see. But to have that type of collaboration and different points of view, different personalities, that'd be my dinner party for the night. Yeah.
That would be a hell of a dinner party, my friend. So, all right, question number 2. That would be a hell of a dinner party, I'll tell you. Question number 2. Articles being written about you after you're gone. We all have an expiration date. None of us know what it is, but we know that it's coming some point down our lives. An article being written about you after you're gone. What's the title? Not what's in it, but what's the headline?
Yeah. Johnny Quinn, a guy who his words matched his actions. And that's the title, Rick. I think that's so huge, is I want my words and my actions to line up. That's the title.
Congruency. I love that. Congruency is critical for leaders in all phases of life, all types of leaders. And that's a great point. So finally, what do you do each morning to set yourself up for what's your rhythm? What do you do every morning? Boom, boom, boom. Do you have a method that you do to get yourself set up for success for the day? What do you do?
Yeah, I do. And I got this concept from a guy by the name of Darren Hardy. He wrote a book called The Compound Effect, and he talked about these 2 bookends, your morning bookend, your evening bookend. And because it can be chaos through the day, but if you take care of your bookends, you can really structure, what you're looking to eat time. And just like in sport, it is so important to set the tone early in the game.
Sure.
I want to set the tone right during the day and to set the day up. And so I've actually put together my morning routine. Listeners can go see it. It's at johnnyquinnusa.com/mymorning. And what you're going to find is I have a quiet time. I've got a reading time. And then I spend whatever book I'm reading at the time, then I do 1 chapter out of that. And then I go into my workout. And so I stay consistent with that. I break that down in a lot more detail on my website, johnnyquinnusa.com/mymorning, and you'll get a good sneak peek in there. But having a routine is what matters. It's something that we control, Rick. So it's huge.
That's awesome. Well, you're getting a bonus question.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I play it and I see it. You're getting a bonus question.
You're right. Good.
What are you reading? What are you reading right now?
So I've got a couple books going right now. I typically have, it depends on the genre, But I typically have a business book going, a faith-based book going, and then just a fun read. So on the business side, I'm reading Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. He created the company called ClickFunnels. And so now that I have an online course, understanding how to
Sure.
utilize that product. On the faith-based side, I'm reading a book called Holiness by J.C. Ryle. He was a pastor in the 1800s. His work has been spot on. I mean, it's incredible. So I'd encourage anybody to go read anything written by J.C. Ryle. He lived in the early 1800s in England, just spot on. And then for fun right now, I'm reading a book called Pioneers, and it is essentially, in the 13 colonies of the United States, everybody started moving west, and now they've just discovered Ohio. And so just to hear these people crossing the river and what's going on, and I guess it's more of a history book, but that's been fun.
That's fun stuff. Good stuff.
Hey, Rick,
good stuff.
To the listeners here, if you want to see every book I've read since 2011, that's 9 years of books, go to johnnyquinnusa.com/books, and that'll give you a peek right inside of my digital library. You'll see every book I've read for the last 9 years.
Now that's beautiful, because that's tactical, something that our listeners and our viewers can really take and do. So folks, I recommend it. Follow the link. You'll look down below. You'll see the link right below, and we'll make sure that happens. Johnny, I just want to thank you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on The Bald Truth. I appreciate you spending time with us. I'm excited to see all the things you got coming out. Remember, folks, visit thetopspeaker.com to see what Johnny's up to right now. Johnny, thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Rick, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. You've been listening to The Bald Truth with Coach Rick of the Peak Performance Group, the company that helps people and organizations achieve their potential. If you're looking for a way to grow your organization, whether it's through strategic planning, the Peak Performance Group, our coaches, we can help you do that. Just give us a call at 817-748-7425 or check us out at mypotentialplus.com, and we'll connect you with the right coach for you. I'm Coach Rick, and that's The Bald Truth.